remaining amount was the $218,000. Of that $218,000, the $121,507 is specifically facade work. As you can look at that building and tell, the majority of that is facade work. So we wanted just to make sure that the information was available, that there was no positive money coming back to the Stillwells by asking for this grant. The Infrastructure Committee believed that that corner building is an important anchor to that block, and their recommendation was for the passage of the facade grant. Of the $121,000 in a facade grant, the maximum amount is $50,000, or of a $100,000 project. So the recommendation was for a $50,000 facade grant. And the way the grant works is it'll be reimbursed upon they turn in their receipts to us, and then they get the money back. We did, the other thing, last note is, this budget year we did leave a contingency in the TIF should something from this project come to the council.
Okay, any questions that we want to propose, or everybody understand pretty good? Okay. Becky and Bill Abraham are here if we have any questions of them directly. Otherwise, we would enter a motion.
I'd make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion by Mike, seconded by Jerry Kauser. Roll call, please.
Giovanini?
Yes.
Eckhoff?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Kauser?
Yes.
Cranford?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Barr?
Yes.
Thank you. Halfway there. Okay. Moving on, the next ordinance we have is 2023-0020, corporate hangar land lease. I believe we have some guests here to speak on that.
Hello, Nick Erget here. We had been, I guess in front of you over at the Eagle half a year ago, somewhere on there. The agreement was tentatively agreed to at that point in time. There have been some contractual changes that we wanted to run by the city and have the city approve. Some of those changes include the fact that originally there was a letter of credit request for 125% of the contract price. The Petersons are actually going to be paying for half of that out of their own cash. So Mr. Schrock and I talked about having a letter of credit regarding 75% of the total project, 50% being paid for cash, 50% being in credit, so the line of credit being 75% to cover any gaps there. Another change that was made is that the Pontiac Flying Services is going to be transferring the dirt on over to the city. It's about $80,000 worth of dirt that Jim and Alan and myself have worked out a situation, and they've been great to work with, to where the contractors are going to be placing the dirt on ground that the city has been able to provide for that purpose. So that's one of the other changes that we made there. One of the remaining issues there is a full legal description for the site plan itself. We do have a overhead survey of the property. The legal description is the broad legal description. That's correct, the site plan. There's a broad legal description, but the city is Mr. Schrock has asked for a specific site plan. We are working on providing that to the city, and right now we think that we're going to be able to get that in a fairly quick manner, but the engineer did not have that specific site plan legal description yet. So same overall project, couple of fine tuning on little things as time progressed, but we're here for any questions.
Yeah, we thought that there were enough changes from when it was approved, I think in November of last year. We approved it, what was at that point, subject to my approval, but there was some substantive stuff that moved, not just wording, and I felt better if we would, submit it to the council. But the lease itself provides for an Exhibit A, which is a legal description, and an Exhibit B, but I don't have a problem with going ahead with the legal description to come. That's a technical thing, provided it shows 5.25 acres. You know, if it ends up different than that, we might have to adjust the rent or whatever, but, the bank is working on a letter of credit. I didn't see it drafted out. I don't know if they got one to you or not.
Yeah, we provided one to the bank and the bank was signing it.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
we have, that has been approved.
And they're ready to start moving dirt. I mean, tomorrow, probably, if the council approves it. So I think it's, an agreement that was negotiated in good faith. It's gonna be a good development for the community, serve the farming community in particular very well, economically, and by its terms, follows the law. And as everybody remembers, this thing is basically, it's got a term with renewals, but it basically translates to a 50-year lease. So at the end of 50 years, the improvements will transfer back to the city. That's just the way the airport law is. We can't lease it beyond 50 years. So I would recommend that the form be approved, and as long as the concept you've already approved, so I'd recommend that you pass ordinance 2023-0020.
Any other questions? We have covered this a couple of times, so I think we're all pretty familiar with what we're getting into. So, have a motion to,
I'd make a motion. Go ahead.
motion by Frank and
Yeah.
seconded by Mike.
Yeah,
Okay. Roll call, please.
Eckhoff,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Cowser,
yes.
Cranford,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Barr,
Yes.
Giovanini.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Nick. We appreciate all your efforts. Okay, moving on, we have ordinance 2023-021, property owner agreement on Heritage Corridor for a mural project.
And I've got one update on that. I don't know if it's the agreement. The agreement, I don't think was attached in the packet. My copy does.
it is.
My copy does.
It should be right behind.
If you've got the agreement, then,
We do.
Yeah.
that's the ordinance. That's,
Here's the,
so, anyway, Mr. Bertram reviewed the agreement and objected to some language about, him being legally responsible for potential damages to the mural and stuff, so I talked to Mr., it's 2D, it's number D. And I emailed Mr. Bertram this morning after talking to Jim and think we can simply remove that provision that was objectionable to him. We have to do it in a workmanlike manner, not to damage his building, which is reasonable. But in terms of the actual, him being responsible for damages, if there were negligence, there'd be responsibility, but we would have had absolute responsibility if there were any damages under the provision. So, I suggest that the council adopt the ordinance, approving it with the understanding that the form might change slightly. I didn't hear back from Mr. Bertram today, whether that was acceptable or not, so I checked my emails before I came. But it's an accommodation of him to allow us to use the building. And you're good. We talked.
I'm good, okay.
okay,
I'll motion acceptance
with the provision.
with the provision that Alan wishes to have
Okay,
removed.
sounds good.
Second.
Okay, motion by Kelly, seconded by Jerry Cowser. Roll call, please.
Lee,
Yes.
Cowser,
Yes.
Cranford,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Barr,
Yes.
Giovanini,
Yes.
Eckhoff.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on, we have police surplus property disposition. I see the chief is moving into position, so
Good evening,
Please.
everyone. We recently have an officer on light duty, and we had the opportunity to do an audit for our lost and found, our abandoned property storage in the basement across the road. Statute requires that any of this property be held for at least 6 months, just in the event that someone would notice it stolen and report it stolen. You can see by the list on the back, a lot of it is not the greatest. I mean, some people, we get property that was, found in the river, and people will bring it to us. So it's not a lucrative collection of items, but part of the requirement is that they need to be officially declared as surplus property. And then if I have any nonprofits that can use any of these items, I can donate them by statute, or if not, we would use govdeals.com, which we've used in the past to try and sell some off.
2 packs.
And I would also just recommend that you authorize the chief for any of these that are junk to dispose of them, to destroy them and dispose. Such as the open packs of cigarettes.
Yeah, that's
One of those was
Or
straight out of the
pair
river.
of
the
sunglasses.
Yu-Gi-Oh cards. My grandkids might like those.
Anybody have any questions or?
I think we'd like to have you use your good judgment on this and proceed, but we do need a motion to approve.
Andrew wasn't turned up over there in the lost and found?
It's in his domain, so he was part of the motivation to get
Yeah.
the audit done and get it cleaned up.
I would motion permission for the chief to dispose of those items as written here.
Motion by Kelly, seconded by Jason Lee. Roll call, please.
Causer,
Yes.
Cranford,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Barr,
Yes.
Giovanini,
Yes.
Eckhoff,
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Thank you. We do have need for executive session, so I do have a couple comments. I'm sure we all enjoyed the Threshermen's Parade Sunday. It was quite nice, and the weather was warm, but certainly the crowd enjoyed it. I never did hear a total from the reunion, but my understanding is that they were extremely thrilled with the turnout and participations. And I didn't count them, but when I was out there for the kickoff, I was sure there was at least 400 tractors out there. So there was quite an array of items. So it was the 75th anniversary and quite well received. I have been getting calls about the fiber optics people, but most of them have been just inconvenience calls. They bothered my driveway or they did this and that, so we haven't had any tremendous. Other than that, city council comments. Barb.
I'd like to address the council from an email that we all received August 28th from a person in the public as far as to our seating arrangement, because they aren't able to see us, they aren't able to hear us, and they would like us to do something about that if we can. So it makes it easier for them to feel like they are part of us and not out there in left field.
Okay.
So,
There have been several proposals,
yes.
most of which turned out to be bad, but we have a couple others that we're working on.
Okay.
And we will have some adjustments here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we
just brainstormed with Andrew
Yeah, we
about
just-
an hour ago.
Yeah, and we were talking about maybe doing tiers against this back wall, this north wall, and then putting the 4 of you over here, but putting the rest of us so that they can see us directly. Andrew said he can arrange the cameras any way we want, but that way they can see all of us, and they can see our interactions with each other.
I say we're open to ideas. It's
So,
just
That was just,
the first few
we were
have
just
not
brainstorming.
been what we would call
We threw a
ideal.
couple more ideas at him
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
that he hadn't thought about.
Well, you got him out of the basement over across the street.
No, he was over here. And
Yeah, he was over
so
here.
we just,
Okay, good.
we were picking his brain.
It's getting Rick to operationalize those ideas.
yeah, well,
But-
yeah,
One of
that
our,
was part
one
of the
our issues right
conversation.
now is these tables are too long.
Yep.
They're 8-foot
Yes.
tables and they're too big for any kind of other configuration. So, and that's on me. I was going to get some 6-foot tables, which are a little bit smaller, and I just haven't done it yet. Just other things. So,
Well, is there a possibility that maybe Rick could build a table in kind of a horseshoe, if not the tiers?
I mean,
There's also that too.
No, that's always a possibility. Madison Street has him pretty busy right now, but it just might be a work in progress. It might take us a while if we have him actually construct and design something back here.
Okay.
Okay. Alrighty.
I'd like
City
to make-
Administrator. Oh, sorry.
I'd like to
Jerry?
make mention of the passing of Dave Brown, and many years of service that he did for the community, and he's a good friend.
Yeah. Good friend of the community for many years.
Yes.
Yeah. Jim?
Just wanted to let you guys know, be patient right now with City Hall. We have a couple of staff out with COVID again, and so we're getting through that. Otherwise, I just like to always echo thanks to the departments, especially with this holiday week. We were able to get all of our things accomplished. We got a lot of weed eating done. We got downtown dressed up as best we could, and public safety was in full force out there. And again, tourism, great job. So other than that, that's it.
By the way, the string band that was up at the park was quite good. Excellent. Too bad that there's only about 150, 200 maybe that enjoyed it, but it was quite good, even on short notice. So, yeah. Public comment. Any adventures? Like as I said, we do need to go to executive session, so we'll need a motion to adjourn to executive session.
So moved.
So moved by Kelly, seconded by Scott Cransford. Okay. Roll call, please.
Barr,
Yes.
Giovanini,
Yes.
Eckhoff.
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Cowser,
Yes.
Cranford.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Okay, we'll adjourn and go to executive session in about 3 or